Hello everyone and welcome to the first race of a new year on CR Sim Racing. Now before we check out this Formula iR-04 race at Monza in iRacing, I want to show you quickly what happened when I tried the same combo yesterday. You will not believe what happens in this first corner. It's getting messy already, but wait till you see the devastation that one traffic cone can cause. Pretty crazy, right? I don't think I've seen a crash quite as violent as that before in iRacing. You can only hope that the driver, Juan Jose Suarez, wasn't in VR and wasn't using a direct drive wheel, because that was brutal. Now, we lost quite a few drivers in that incident. Thankfully, I wasn't one of them, but my luck ran out just a lap later. We're watching Sander Hemmen spin out in Ascari, and look at all the cars trying to avoid him. There's absolute mayhem, and I just plough into the back of these guys. That's me there, steaming in, and I'm actually quite annoyed with myself at this because I made a bad situation so much worse. I had plenty of notice that there was a wreck ahead. You can see the clouds of smoke, but I was concentrating too much on my braking point, and by the time I realised what was going on, it was too late. So despite being battered and bruised by yesterday's exploits, I've decided to come back and try the combo again for my first race of 2023, and we're going to be starting from 8th on the grid, a qualifying time of 1:55.2. So what have I learned from yesterday's exploits? Well, I've learned that I'll need the reactions of a cat to survive this race, and I've also learned I'll need a fair bit of good fortune as well. If I don't get both of those things, chances are I won't bring it home.
Green flag, green flag.
And it's green. We're underway at Monza, and I can't help but think that this is a bad idea. Thankfully, the driver who qualified in 6th has decided to start from pit lane, so there is a bit more space in front of me. However, we're under pressure already. Andrew Thompson diving up the inside. We've got Chris Bassin on the outside. We're 3 wide into the first turn. This is tight. Both Thompson and Alex Shelford got into the chicane ahead of us. However, Chris Bassin is still alongside. We were 2 wide all through that first turn, and we're still 2 wide exiting it. Wow, this race is only a few seconds old, but already I'm breaking out into a cold sweat. Now I'm on the racing line, Baz is on the inside line, and I'm worried about this upcoming chicane. It does lure you in to a dive bomb attempt, and it looks like Bazin's going for it. Is he going to get it stopped? No, he's not. We're going to have to give him room. Meanwhile, Stefan Schultz is alongside, trying to go around the outside. There's contact. Bazin rejoining from the right. There's more contact with Schultz. Oh no, Schultz has gone. Schultz has crashed into the barrier. I might have squeezed him out there. Oh no, I knew that Schultz was on the outside of me. I was trying to leave him space, but at the same time I had Bazin rejoin him from the right, and I was in a blind panic. And that's Andrew Thompson in the wall. So Thompson has crashed out. We let Thompson dive up the inside into turn 1, but we've got that position back too. What a chaotic opening lap. We've got Angelo Mistretta in the rearview mirror looking particularly menacing now. He's going to consider a move up the inside into Ascari, as he knows. Thankfully, he backs out of it. I've done enough races at Monza to know that 2 wide into Ascari rarely ends well. But it looks like we're going to get through this first lap relatively unscathed. I say relatively because I'm a little bit concerned we might have picked up some rear end damage in that collision with Schultz. We'll go back and check out the replay of that one shortly, but as we hit the parabolica for the first time, I've missed the apex completely. That's going to allow Mistretta to dive up the inside, and there's a car that had spun on the inside. It was just as well we did miss the apex, otherwise we would have probably ploughed right into him. But it looked like it was Giuseppe Torelli, the driver, that was facing the wrong way on that inside line, so that is another position gained as we cross the line to finish lap 1. We're into 6th position. However, we might not have it for long, because look in the rearview mirror, Tibor Kiss is sizing up a move into T1. He's going to dive up the inside. You know what? We're just going to let him have that. I'd rather drop a position and still be in one piece rather than trying to defend and it not ending well. Right, let's go back and take another look at this first lap incident with Stefan Schultz. I still think I might be at fault for this one, but watch the yellow number 6. That's Chris Bazin. And it was his lunge up the inside that forced me to leave a gap for Schultz to try and get around. There's the first contact. Oh no, and there's the second contact. I push him right out into the barrier. And I did know he was there, but as soon as we locked wheels, that was it. Let's watch it from the chopper cam. Let's see Bazin make that dive again. He was never going to get it stopped. He runs off track, but then he rejoins from the right, and that's what causes me to panic right there. I'll move a little bit too far over to the left, and Schultz runs out of road. So I'll definitely be sending Stefan a note of apology at the end of this race. Riding on board with him now. There's the gap left open by the dive bomb. And in my defence, it's a fairly risky move to try and run it around the outside here, and particularly after that first contact. Had it been me, I might just have backed out of that rather than tried to challenge. But yeah, regrettable incident this one. I definitely think that Stefan probably should have thought better of it at this point rather than trying to continue that push around the outside, but at the same time, yeah, I squeezed him out too aggressively there. Elsewhere on track, there was a lot more carnage. The number 5, Andrew Thompson, getting it all wrong out of Lesmo 2, just clipping the gravel, and that sends him into the barrier. And he wasn't the only one. Look at the yellow number 5, Bazin. He's rejoined with damage after riding over those sausage curbs, and he clips the number 16, Lachlan Massey. So Massey spins out, and then 2 other cars behind him crash out too. But the damage isn't over yet, because the blue number 17, Kevin Pollock, is going to get collected by Andrew Thompson. Thompson also back on track with damage, and look at the carnage. There are cars crashing out everywhere, and we weren't done then. On to the final turn. The number 11, Giuseppe Torelli, defending hard against the pole position man, Chris Piacentini, and it ends in tears for him too. Rejoining the live action on lap 3, and things have settled down a little bit now. There's some space opened up both in front and behind. Tibor Kiss still in front in 6th. He's 1.5 seconds clear. However, he is going to get it all wrong coming into this chicane. Kiss out in a cloud of smoke, and he's going to rejoin. Oh, a moment of panic there as Kiss gets back on track just as I was coming by. Thankfully, we avoided him. Yeah, Kiss just ran it in too hot into the chicane. The rear stepped out and spun him round, but the big panic for me was here. He rejoined and missed me by inches. Start of lap 4 now, and we've got a big gap that's opened up behind us. Alvaro Munoz was in 7th position, however he stacked it in the final corner on the previous lap. That means we've got 5 seconds of breathing room behind us, and for the second lap in a row, we're going to lose one of the front runners in this chicane. And it's Chris Piacentini, the pole position man. Piacentini was running in 4th, and he's crashed out in exactly the same spot as Kiss a lap ago. Thankfully, he didn't rejoin as I was coming by though. Yeah, I mentioned Munoz behind me crashing out of the parabolica at the end of the previous lap. This was his spin, just carrying a bit too much entry speed, and the rear steps out. And then we saw Chris Piacentini become the latest victim into this chicane. He tried to pass up the inside of Michael Wozniak to snatch 3rd position, but carried too much speed and span out. Lap 5, and we're going to have a nervy moment coming into Ascari as we clip that sausage curb on the inside. It sends us out a little bit wide. We pick up an instant point for an off track, but thankfully we're still on track and in 5th position. Chris Piacentini is 3 seconds behind in 6th. Meanwhile, in front, there is a proper battle going on for 3rd position between Alex Shelford and Michael Wozniak. We're going to switch the TV cam on, because these 2 guys are nearly 5 seconds up the road. I can hardly see what's going on from my vantage point, but the TV cam will show us exactly how closely these 2 are fighting. And as they charge down the start and finish straight, it looks like Wozniak is going to try and make a move up the inside of Shelford into turn 1. Who's going to be the bravest here? Wozniak's got the advantage at the moment with that inside line, but Shelford's not going to let him have it easily. Shelford fights as hard as he can through that chicane. However, Wozniak has made the pass stick. So it's Michael Wozniak in 3rd, Alex Shelford in 4th. I'm 4 seconds behind these 2 guys in 5th. And Chris Piacentini behind me is slowly closing the gap. It's down to 2.7 seconds now. Meanwhile, back in front, they're still fighting. It looks like Shelford's going to try and take that position back. Shelford up the inside into the chicane, and there's contact. They're both out. Wozniak slammed the door shut. Shelford was already there, and it ended in tears. It looks like Shelford's managed to rejoin. We've got past Wozniak. We might be able to get past Shelford too. We've got the power, but you know what? Just going to back out of this one. I didn't think it was worth sending out the inside of Lesmo 1, particularly if Shelford's picked up damage from that shunt. Incredible, we've seen so many accidents at this chicane. Look at Shelford making a move up the inside. Wozniak goes for the apex, he tries to slam the door shut. It was too late, Shelford was already there. Wozniak's out on the runoff area. Shelford rejoins. I think about having a look up the inside. This was the opportunity to try and snatch third position, but I thought better of it and backed off. End of lap 6, we're still in 4th position, but Shelford ahead is beginning to creep away. He's opened up a 1 second advantage, but he was wide out of the parabolica there, out onto the green stuff. Meanwhile, behind, Michael Wozniak now within 0.3 of a second. He's got a much better run out of the final turn. Do you know what? I'm going to let him have this. I'm just going to lift off the accelerator slightly to give him an extra bit of speed. I suspect his blood's pumping after that collision on the previous lap. He's going to be driving really aggressively to try and catch back up with Shelford. I don't want a part of that. I'll just wait to pick up the pieces again, and I won't have to wait long because Shelford has stacked it coming out of the first chicane. Well, I was expecting Wozniak to be the one to crash as he was pushing so hard to close the gap, but no, Alex Shelford crashes out. So that promotes Michael Wozniak up to 3rd, we're 4th, and look how close Chris Piacentini is. Behind now, he's just 0.3 of a second back in 5th. And Wozniak's got it all wrong going through the chicane. He's out over the sausage curb. This is surely the chance. We make a move at the inside, and Piacentini's up the inside of us. We're 3 wide into Lesmo. There was contact. Somehow I managed to hold on to it. I thought I was a goner then. And in amongst all that drama, did you see the announcement from crew chief? The leader is in the pits as we run wide out of Lesmo 2. We clip the gravel. That's another instant point. But yeah, there was an announcement that the leader, Yoshinobu Suzuki, has entered the pits as he crashed out, as he miscalculated his fuel. And crucially, will we get around in time to claim another position? But man alive, this race is absolute chaos. I honestly don't know how we're still out on track at the moment. We are riding our luck here. So let's go back and check out some highlights from an incredible lap 7. Starting at turn 1, we let Wozniak by, not expecting it to be Shelford who spins out. And then at the next chicane, the heat really got turned up. Michael Wozniak gets it all wrong, runs over those sausage curbs. This is my opportunity to dive up the inside, but Chris Piacentini dives up the inside of me with 3 wide. And we bump wheels with Piacentini. That almost sends me into a spin, riding on board with Chris Piacentini now. He sees me pounce up the inside and he thinks, do you know what, I'm having a bit of that, I can take you both. And he's the bravest of all 3 of us, tucks it up the inside of the 2 of us into Lesmo 1. Incredible stuff. While we were taking chunks out of each other, we got the notification that the race leader, Yoshinobu Suzuki, was in the pits, and that was because of this crash. He was another casualty at Lesmo. So as we prepare to finish a breathtaking lap 7, we're in front of Michael Wozniak, we're in front of Alex Shelford, we might be in front of Yoshinobu Suzuki too. He's in the pits, yes, we're going to go past, and there's that confirmation. We are up into 3rd position. Angelo Mistretta is the new race leader. He's nearly 13 seconds down the road. Chris Piacentini in 2nd. We're right on his tail in 3rd, but we've got company as well. Look in the rearview mirror, Giuseppe Torelli in 4th, just 0.4 of a second behind. And just when you think it can't get any more nerve-wracking, the 3 of us are closing in fast on a back marker, Lachlan Massey. And I'll tell you what, I am absolutely terrified coming up to this chicane. We've seen so much carnage here. I really don't want Torelli to try and make a move. Thankfully he doesn't. We close in a little bit on Piacentini through there, but the gap is still 0.9 of a second to the 2nd place man. However, he has closed right in on that back marker now, so this might be our chance. But Piacentini runs wide. He's crashed right in front of us. We had to react so quickly there. Has Torelli come through? Yes, he has. But no, Torelli's gone as well. He's stacked it in Lesmo 2. Well, just when you think this race has run out of twists, this happens. Chris Piacentini closes right in on the back marker, but he's on the gas too early. He clips the gravel into Lesmo 1. I react quickly to get around him. So does Torelli, but then at the very next turn, Torelli throws it in too hot. He's gone too. So not only do I get promoted to 2nd position, I've also lost my nearest challenger. Oh no, these 2 still get entangled up. Piacentini and Torelli, both of them out. So all of a sudden the pressure was off. I'm in second position. There's a gap of 3 seconds back to Michael Wozniak in third. Now the only slight bit of danger I've got to worry myself about is getting around this back marker, Lachlan Massey, because it looks like he's carrying a bit of damage. But thankfully Lachlan pulls over to the right. He lets me by safely, so that's great. We're up into second position. We've got a nice comfortable gap of 3 seconds back to Wozniak, and we've got a back marker in between us too. Things are looking good now. And they continue to look good for the final few laps. Here we are, making our way around the parabolica for the final time. Angelo Mistretta's won this race. He's already crossed the line, but we're going to bring it home for an unlikely second position. We've got a gap now of 5.5 seconds back to Michael Wozniak in third. We were under no pressure for these final few laps. And boy, am I glad this one is over. This was incredibly stressful. Right, let's check out the classified results. I really was fearing the worst coming into this race. I was on the back of a really bad run in iRacing. I thought it was going to go from bad to worse here, but I'm pleasantly surprised and absolutely flabbergasted to come away with a podium. And I'm also pleased to see Stefan Schultz manage to get back on track and finish in 11th. Now, I did write Stefan a quick message after this race apologising for my part in that incident on lap 1. He was really cool about it, and he understood that I was distracted by that driver rejoining on the right. So all's well that ends well. What a dramatic day of racing at Monza. Let me know what you thought, both of the race and that first lap incident. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, please do leave a like or consider subscribing. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.